Hey everyone, my name is Jake and welcome to r/maliciouscompliance. And quickly before this video starts, I just want to say, like 60% of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you did subscribe, we could hit 100k really fast, and that would be really awesome, so thank you and please do that. But without any further ado, let's get right into the stories. Yeah, sure, I'll come back with ID. I only live around the corner. I'll give a little bit of context first. I live in the UK, where it's illegal to operate a petrol pump if you're under the age of 16, and you can take your driving test from the age of 17. The town/village I grew up in was small and had just a single petrol station with 2 pumps. Sometimes you'd have to wait behind a car or two, but being a small town, it was never really much of an issue. At the time, I had just recently passed my test and had been driving for a week or two. When you pass your test, they give you a temporary paper license to use until the official one arrives in the post. These paper licenses don't have a photo or anything on them, just your name, address, etc. You might already be able to work out where this is going, so let's get on to the story. It was early Wednesday morning, and I had decided to drive into school. My car was almost on empty, so I swung by the petrol station on the way out of town to put my regular $5 in the tank. As a broke student, I could never afford to fill up more than 5 to 10 pounds at a time, so I was a regular visitor at the petrol station. On this particular day, there was a new server behind the counter, who I guess had only just started there. Coincidentally, one of the pumps was out of order that morning, which meant there was only one available pump in the whole town. I pull up to the pump, and at this point, there's only one other car behind me. I put my measly amount of petrol in the tank and head over to the garage to pay. As I approach the counter, I notice the attendant is giving me an odd look. The conversation went something like this. "Sorry, but can I ask to see some ID?" he says to me. I don't have any photo ID with me." "Well, I'm afraid I can't sell petrol to someone that might be under 16. A little shell-shocked at the apparent incompetence, I reply, I drove a car in here and you have to be 17 to drive. Is that not proof enough?" "I'm sorry, but without ID, I can't do anything." "Look, I can get my paper license from the car, but it doesn't have a photo on it." "Well, it needs to be a photo ID, otherwise I don't know it's really you." "Right, well, I live a few minutes away. I can come back with my passport in a few minutes." "Okay, but you'll have to leave the car here because I can't let you drive off without paying." At this point, I'm absolutely dumbfounded. It's only a few minutes drive back home, but at least a 20-minute walk, which would mean a 40-minute round trip. Desperate to not have to walk 40 minutes home and back for the sake of £5, I try one more time. "It's gonna take me 40 minutes to get some ID. Can you really just not sell me this £5 of petrol?" "I'm afraid not. It's not up to me." I turn around and walk out of the station. "Okay, I'll leave the car here and come back in 40 minutes with some ID. Sure enough, I leave the garage and begin the walk home, with my car exactly where the attendant told me to leave it. 20 minutes later, I arrive home, but by this point, I'm pretty thirsty. I always left early for school because I work better in the morning and like to get an hour or two of work done before classes start. So, with about an hour to spare before I really need to be leaving for school, I decide to make myself a cup of tea and maybe have a second breakfast. All the while, I'm fully aware that my car is currently locked and parked in front of the only petrol pump in the whole town. About 15 minutes pass, by which point I've had a cup of tea and second breakfast. So, I pick up my passport and head out the door. Almost an hour after leaving the garage, I arrive back, passport in hand. Sure enough, there's now a queue of 10 to 15 cars and a very panicked looking attendant trying to explain to a horde of angry customers why they've had to wait for almost an hour to fill up their cars before they can drive to work. At just about the same time I arrive, the guy's manager shows up. I explained to the manager that I had to leave the car here because without ID I hadn't been allowed to pay for the petrol, and without paying for the petrol, I hadn't been allowed to drive the car anywhere. Long story short, they ended up issuing over £200 in free petrol to the waiting customers, and I was never again asked for ID. Edit. A lot of people seem to be asking why I didn't just drive off and leave the money with them, or why I didn't call the police. I was young and ignorant, I didn't want to drive off for fear of repercussion, and I was always brought up with the understanding that you only call the police for an emergency, etc. The issue didn't seem important enough to involve the police at that point. Also, it was the only petrol station within about 5 miles, so I guess I didn't want to get banned or whatever. For those asking, yes, it was a standard UK pump where the attendant authorizes before pumping and you pay after. I didn't realize that was so unusual elsewhere. When you pass your test, you can hand over your provisional, which they send off to the DVLA with the relevant paperwork to get your full license. Your pass certificate acts as a temporary license in the interim, and is all you're supposed to need. Otherwise, you have to do all the paperwork and send it off yourself. Would have avoided the entire thing if it had just said, oh, can you just park to the side and then go and walk off, so everyone can still get their petrol. But you know, everyone got free petrol in the end, so it was kind of a win-win. You want me to call and ask permission for you to be escorted to a restricted area? Sure, but you'll be escorted out instead. I work part-time as guest services in a large events area. Think NBA. I have worked there for years and have made many friends. On this day, we were hosting a televised league series for men's basketball. Certain levels of the arena are restricted to certain ticket types, VIP, club, etc. At this same time, another sport was having their televised league series about an hour or two away from where we were. I can't remember the sport, maybe football? For the sake of the story, I'll say it was. I was working the guest services booth as a supervisor. I am in direct radio contact with a command center who can contact other supervisors and managers in the building. I am also generally liked by all staff, especially by the person who was working command center this day. This is important for later. A gentleman came to the booth dressed in sports merchandise for one of the football teams that was playing at the venue 2 hours away. He rudely yelled, asking where he could watch the football game. The conversation went like this. RM, rude man, me, and command center person. Hi sir, what are you looking for? I want to watch the football game. Where can I do that? Unfortunately, all of our TVs on this level are set to the channel that shows what is happening on the court right now. So, get a remote and change it. Sorry sir, those TVs cannot be controlled like that. Listen to me right now. Call someone on your radio and tell them that I want that TV changed right now. He's pointing to a TV down the hall. Okay sir, one moment. I then call to the command center and ask about changing the TV. The command center says no, that's against building policy. I explain this to the gentleman. So you're telling me that in this whole dang building, there isn't anywhere that I can watch the game? On this level, no. I knew very well that there is an area on the club level that has several TVs that can be changed to different sporting channels. Club is a restricted area though, and I saw him come up the stairs of a public level. Call on your radio and ask if there's a TV I can watch. I don't believe you. Okay, sure. I call the command center again, explaining the new request. I'm sure TVs on the club level may have what the guy's looking for. Ugh, finally, I told you. That's great that they have what you're looking for. Do you have a club level ticket? No, I'm in 100 section. Oh, well then, I'm sorry sir, you cannot be on that level without a club level ticket. Are you kidding me? No sir, those are the rules. That area is restricted. Call someone to take me there now. I want to see the game. I get back on my radio again. Hey, command. This gentleman would like to know if someone can escort him to the club level so he can watch the game. Does he have a club ticket? Me, smiling now, holding the radio in a way that the man can hear what command center is saying. No, he does not. No, we will not escort him. The rude man starts screaming obscenities at me. Keep in mind that this back and forth with the rude man and command center has taken at least 15 minutes. I want to get up on that level right now. Sir, the only way to do that is if you had a club ticket. Our box office is still open if you'd like to upgrade your ticket. I'm not going anywhere. Call them and tell them to come up here. I'm the customer, take me right now. Oh, yes, I will call them. Hey command, it's me again. This gentleman would like to have someone come up and take him to the club level right now. Meanwhile, the rude man is still screaming in the background. Command center can hear this. Alright, they are on their way. Rude man heard this and is now yelling that I told you so and that I'm worthless at my job. He continued yelling as the security manager for my company and police officers walked up to us. The manager asked him if he was ready to be escorted. Not looking at who'd shown up or thinking past berating me, the rude man said yes. Okay, so we are going to escort you out of the building now. The rude man's eyes get wide and he gets pale. He starts pleading, saying he was sorry and he just wanted to watch the football game. Manager says, well, if you wanted to see the game so bad, you should have driven to the football venue 2 hours away. You see, those managers sound good because they just know who's a jerk and who isn't. I really didn't see you. This just about qualifies as malicious compliance, I think. Backstory. Back in 2010, I had my left eye removed due to cancer. It's no big problem, but obviously my field of vision on that side is not quite what it was. On with the story. I visited a local convenience store to pick up a couple of items. It is a very small store, and there's no clear area to queue, just 2 narrow aisles in front of the counter at right angles to each other. I collected my stuff and walked up to the counter just as someone was leaving it. I heard a small noise on my left and realized I had gone in front of someone waiting in the other aisle. I apologized, stepped back and said, I can't see on that side. The guy smiled but clearly didn't believe me and wanted to say so, although he didn't, possibly because he had a young girl, probably about 10 years old, with him. There was an unspoken, oh yeah, prove it. I was in a silly mood, so I took my prosthetic eye out and showed it to him. He was a bit shocked. The girl thought it was cool. I replaced my eye and let him finish buying his stuff. That does suck to hear about the eye, but I guess it sets you up for some funny situations. Special! Dry clean 3 items, 50% off. I took a suit to the dry cleaners to get cleaned. It was just pants and jacket, 2 items. Normally, it is $10 per item, so $20 for the 2 items. But when I got there, I saw they had a special. 50% off if you get 3 items cleaned, making it $15 for 3 items. There was a dotty old lady serving. I pointed to the sign and said, "Can I have the $15 special? I'll even save you some effort and only make you dry clean these 2 items." She responded with, "2 items are $20. The $15 special is only for 3 items." We argued for a minute or two. Eventually, I gave in and complied. I pulled out a used handkerchief from my pocket and gave it to her. Here's my 3rd item. You can throw it in the bin after you've dry cleaned it. Crazily enough, she accepted that, took my $15, cleaned all 3 of my items, and binned my freshly cleaned hanky. I personally would have taken back that nice fresh handkerchief, but I guess you can do it out of spite. Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more videos like it, then click on screen right now. And if you never want to miss out on a video, then hit subscribe, but I will see you all very soon.